Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm pretty much having a great week. I want to talk a little bit about my personal experience I had last week. This of thinking about the morning because all too often I see, a lot of fear mongering in the health space about, if you do this, that, or the other thing, like you're doomed from a health perspective. And I think that leads to a lot of this everything needs to be perfect mindset, or it's not effective at all. So if you don't get your 10,000 steps, you don't sleep your 8 hours, you don't eat whole natural foods, you don't exercise, then everything you do is for naught. All that stuff needs to be done in order for anything to improve your health. And this is like super detrimental, I think, in my experience, especially with working clients where they feel like they just can't make progress because they can't do everything right all the time. And in reality, when we see time and time again, when we look at research studies, is that even doing some of the, like a bare amount of stuff, some of the time gets you like the vast majority of the health benefits. I'm not saying you're going to be like super healthy or like you'll be perfect or whatever, but when you're trying to reap a majority of the health benefits out of all the different practices that I just listed a second ago, like doing them, a little bit of them, some of the time seems to get people most of the way there. And that means that you don't need to be perfect and you don't need to do it all the time. And so, how does this relate to myself? Last Friday, I went out with a couple of guys and just to hang out and get a little social connection, which was much needed. Certainly an area where I'm far from perfect, and it's not the Instagram worthy topic to talk about when it comes to health, but having relationships with other people is vastly important for your health. But I struggle in that area. Busy my family, busy with work, and time is limited. Finding time to just meet up and hang out with other guys is few and far between at this stage of life. So something I'm working on. Anyways, I actually was able to make it happen last Friday, which is awesome. And the plan that everyone decided on was to go to this outdoor beer garden. So I drank a couple beers, which the internet might have you think is very detrimental to your health. And they had the food options there for dinner were pizza, and I noticed online that they had meatballs or chicken wings or whatever. So I was gonna get an order of meatballs or the protein, because again, you need to hit your protein goal every day, right? Or else the muscle's just gonna peel off your body. And have a couple slices of pizza, and then obviously here have some beer and socialize with some guys, right? So, needless to say, this was, even going into it, I knew it was not going to be ideal for me in every aspect of health. Pizza's not the healthiest food ever. And I don't really need to go into why, but certainly not the healthiest food ever. And while not the most ideal choice, I was going to try and get some protein in with some of the meatballs. Again, who knows what's in those meatballs or whatever. But just doing the best I could with the choices that were made. And then obviously I was going to have beer, which again, you can catastrophize, and the internet will gladly help you catastrophize over the alcohol, the detrimental impact on my sleep, all that fun stuff that was going to happen from having that. So needless to say, even going into it, I knew I was sacrificing some aspects of health for the social connection, which, like I said, was important. But there are certainly other areas in my health that I'm sacrificing in order to get that social connection. And needless to say, I got there and went to put in my food order, and they had no meatballs either. What I had was a couple beers and a pepperoni pizza. And so I ate the whole pizza. It wasn't like a large pizza that anybody, it was like a personal pizza, right? So it was not like massive. And a couple beers. So needless to say, certainly from a food point of view, I missed the boat on that one. And then I had some beer. So again, the alcohol and sacrificing my sleep, etc. But I didn't sweat it, right? Why didn't I sweat it? One, and first and most importantly, was that, like I said, social connection is something I struggle with. And going out to dads, these guys' dad, they also happen to have kids. They're dads. So going out with these guys was just that much more important to me than not only consuming alcohol, maybe having pizza, etc. So there's that. But more importantly than that is this is like the very rare exception for me, right? I don't eat like this. I don't have alcohol and just pizza for dinner on the regular. Far from it, actually. I have a slice or two pizza every now and then, but it's certainly not something I have on the regular. I don't make a regular habit of drinking alcohol. And when I do, it's usually 1 or 2 drinks at the most. It's not like I had 6 or 7 drinks. I had 3 beers, actually 2 beers and a Sun Cruiser, so seltzer type of thing. It was not important, but that's not the regular for me, right? It's far from it, right? That means when these opportunities come up for me to perhaps enhance an area where I'm lacking, where my social connection, and maybe sacrifice some of the areas where I'm pretty proficient, i.e. my food intake and sleep and all that fun stuff, which I pretty much nail day in, day out, year round, I can do that, right? I've built some buffer into my life because I really dialed in most of the other time so that when time comes when I can't or don't want to be dialed in for good reason, I have that flexibility in my life to do that without negatively impacting the health. Someone who's in a different situation where beer and pizza is their regular, which, okay, maybe it's not exactly beer and pizza, but pick your standard American diet is their regular. They don't exercise, they don't sleep well, etc., etc. They need to be more conscious about their food intake or their sleep, etc., right? So they need to shift in the opposite direction where they have less of the standard American way of living and more of a health mindset, right? They need to make some sacrifices, unfortunately. And so, but by living most of my day to day, week to week is focused around prioritizing healthy habits, I can occasionally have the day where things are not dialed in and it does not impact me. Unlike what the internet might tell you. It's like, oh, Ryan, you had 3 beers and you missed your protein goal. Your sleep's going to suck and you're going to lose all your muscle. That's what the internet would have you believe, because when you say stuff like that, it gets people to watch and click on their videos, right? When in reality, if you're actually doing this for real, you're living a healthy lifestyle day in, day out, when you have those occasional moments where you're not prioritizing those healthy habits, it's okay. You don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be perfect 100% of the time in order to be healthy, right? And in fact, being perfect 100% of the time is probably not healthy, right? We need to chill out, relax, and have fun and let her hair down sometimes. And I feel like that's like part of life. It's part of enjoying life, and it contributes to health in different aspects, right? And I'm no different from anyone else. I need to let my hair down. I need to miss my protein goal. I need to have a slice of pizza and chop. And it probably does, it's probably better for my health because it allows me to, like I said, connect with other people in this situation, which is important. Right? And whether it's a birthday party or a celebration of some kind or a date night with your wife or whatever, it's okay to relax a little bit and maybe not be so dialed in, because there are other parts of life that are just as important that involve, habits or foods that are maybe not the best for you. And on occasion, you're going to be no worse off. The problem always becomes when there's habits that are, we deserve pay special occasions. These have your day in, day out defaults, habits, or that's where it usually start to become a problem. So, I hope this resonates with you. I hope you found it interesting. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. As always, if you want to keep up with content that I'm putting out, you can go to my website at rjbhealth.coach. Click on the newsletter link at the top. Enter your email address, and I will email you all the videos and blog posts and content that I put out to help you find your optimal health. And if you are interested in getting some one-on-one coaching, we do a couple of spots open. So please go to rjbhealth.coach, click on the schedule discovery call button on the homepage and fill out that form. And we can chat a little bit more about what that would look like. With that, I hope everyone has a great week, and I'll talk to you all soon.